very big thank you to you all for joining me today at the presidency. I've received numerous messages and it's both good and bad, and I'm still grateful to you all for the comments and messages you left in my inbox. However, at the end of the show today, I'll make a big announcement and I hope you will not miss it. Welcome to the presidency with me, Manayal. Stay tuned. This week at the presidency, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has promised an inquiry into the National Cathedral project. President John Dramani Mahama said an impending audit of the National Cathedral project will be able to eschew the reasons why spending a whopping $400 million on such a project is not in the public interest. According to the President John Dramani Mahama, the current circumstances the country is going through makes no sense to achieve such a project at a whopping sum of $400 million. Speaking at the National Prayer and Thanksgiving Service in Accra, President John Dramani Mahama said the government will implement the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice recommendation to investigate the possible misapplication of public funds on the project.
On the vexed issue of the National Cathedral, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice directed government to audit the project and investigate any misuse of public funds. Government is enjoined to follow this directive and will soon activate such an investigation into the project. But on the future of the project, the cathedral, I believe that all of us as Christians must forge a consensus on how to achieve such a project without recourse to public funds. And this project must be achieved at a reasonable cost. In the current circumstances that Ghana is going through, it makes no sense to achieve such a project at a whopping sum of $400 million. I am informed that the National Ecumenical Center in Abuja, which is used by all Christian faith in Nigeria, was built at a cost of $30 million. I believe that we can reach a more reasonable figure for achieving such a project, and together we can raise the funding for it. Such a reconsideration of this project might even include changing the current site that was chosen for the project. I leave the rest to any such future consultation that we will have as the body of Christ.
This week at the presidency, President John Dramani Mahama, in a decisive move following his inauguration, has officially dissolved all statutory boards, corporations, commissions, and councils appointed by the previous administration. The dissolution is in accordance with the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845. A statement signed by the acting spokesperson of the President, Felix Kwakye Ofosu, made it clear that all former board members have ceased to hold office, and the announcement serves as a formal notice for all affected members. The dissolution does not include Board of Independent Constitutional Bodies. President Mahama extended his gratitude to the outgoing board members for their service and wished them well in their endeavors. During this period of transition, managements of the affected entities are instructed to seek clearance from the Chief of Staff before making any significant decisions. This sweeping change signals a fresh start for the Mahama administration as it seeks to implement its policies and priorities. This week, also at the presidency, President John Dramani Mahama met the members of the National House of Chiefs to discuss matters affecting chieftaincy in Ghana. In a closed-door meeting with the members, he promised a regular dialogue with them to work out strategies involving chiefs at the drawing tables of developmental issues. He stressed the need for the support of the members in achieving the goals of the government in terms of environmental protection.
I want to first thank you all for the warm welcome you gave us during the campaign when we called on you in your palaces. I do think that the role you played in welcoming us and giving us good counsel on how to conduct our campaigns and make sure that the election is held peacefully, in a peaceful atmosphere. I think all that contributed to the successful election we had. It is my intention that we will hold regular dialogues on many issues of importance, not only to the chieftaincy institution, but also to the progress of our dear nation, Ghana. In our campaign, one of the issues I raised was to see how we can increase the involvement of chiefs in the governance architecture. There are some things that we need your influence to support government to be able to achieve. Protection of the environment is one of them. The traditional areas belong to you, but it's government agencies like the EPA and all those agencies that are supposed to have the legal mandate to protect the environment. But I mean, the EPA is sitting here in Accra. How many offices do they have in your traditional areas? So if somebody goes into a forest reserve and starts cutting trees down, the chief has absolutely no power to stop the person. And most of the time, the person will come with a license from Accra and say, oh, they gave me a license, this is my concession, I've come to cut timber. And so how do we get the chiefs, better involved so that it's a synergy between government and our traditional authorities?
Also this week at the presidency, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has assured independent power producers of the government's support for their efforts to generating energy to boost the country's electricity supply. While bemoaning the poor governance of the Electricity Company of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama pledged to reform the energy sector while ensuring the efficient running of the ECG.
There's not much to say. We all know what the situation is with our power generation sector. And if there was one of the first meetings any person who's taking responsibility of this country had to have, then it's with you, the power producers. We all remember the time of the power crisis, popularly called doomsday by Ghanaians. It was important that we expand the space for independent power producers because government on its own could not always leverage the capital to put in the generation that was required. And that's how come many of you signed PPAs and set up the thermal plants that we have. Now we have an energy sector that is burdened with debt, highly inefficient. Just giving a ballpark figure, the audited debts in the power sector is estimated at about $2.5 billion. But I thought that it was important for me to meet you as president and tell you that I care about your concerns and what you're going through, and to say that we're going to work together with you to see how we can resolve the issues in the power sector. The first thing is for us to deal with the issue of the value chain, the whole power value chain. And that means that we must start from the downstream all the way upstream. There are issues to do with availability of gas, and so that's upstream. And the next is to see how we can bring more efficiency in terms of your sector and the production of power. I can assure you we're turning a new chapter. As I said in my inaugural address, I said Ghana is open for business again. You guys brought your investment in here, and you expected that investment will pay off. And so we need to be faithful partners in order that you're able to run your businesses properly and you're able to account to your shareholders.
President John Dramani Mahama was in Boko and Nalerigu on Tuesday, 14th January 2025, as part of his working visit to curb the conflict between Boko and Waliwale. The president is determined to resolve the decades-old conflict in Boko and use his visit to engage the conflict factions and key stakeholders to promote dialogue to achieve lasting peace.
I know that my father has not been sleeping. Because of what is happening in Boko and what is happening in Waliwale.
Domi esulun sema wawale de damna halab ka Boko balandamna kanya go galanti.
And so it's giving him sleepless nights.
Azanya go galanti ebudihira.
And so during the campaign, I made a promise that bringing peace will be one of my major priorities.
Na nuwa monda chananjin Ghana za surumburu nama urayan ne na etu nasara obola suhudu halab Ghana na kasokanza suhu masa kasokanza dutin sini karinya boy lala alkawri kuralwa na Ghana dama.
And so it's exactly 1 week since I was sworn in.
Zubu banda zamu jile kokoma nentesa de bakoy mwazuna dahura.
And this is my first major assignment out of Accra.
One je no buvusi obutun tumsham pahla one yi urzangan nobre ndwa ye Ankara no ocha bokuna ngara tungona.
It shows how important this matter is to me.
Na naden wulsin ne kanyala yato asha kangba muksu pam wana nensi kenya suhdoa.
And so I just came to appeal to him to exercise restraint and patience, and his subjects to exercise restraint and patience, and trust that we'll resolve this matter amicably.
Na nero zugu wanchana ma uchana no susi epa suguru epunya suguru dana ni pa suguru kayari eda damaza tensema na dama na chimma iyal sokanza ni pa suguru suguru yi chanala enyala banyangan pia boko mo to amana ka amali zugu uchana no suhla suhduama eto ante sokamza ka karbeni ka sokanza na disuguru kunya suru nyangan pia to amani.
I'm in the process of forming my government.
Na ne pampangwa unabanyangan jinna na dama unabazango minister dama unabiyisa yala pambeno unabanyangan nenge amatala sama nyangwan na chamba kazona ma.
And so we're still appointing the ministers.
Zugo unakubela minister dama yigono unabiyin chan purgerba.
They will come and help me to run the administration.
Na ne minister dama yachana sungu kunyangan tumtumama.
So I'm just appealing to my father that they should exercise patience while I set up the government.
Na zugo wanda binyangan yiso ba yasungu tumama okuchana nususini kimala habari muziki bia suhdo amani dama karanya alkauli na yiko kunyanga yisu ministers maza bani yasungu kunyanga tumtumama kasudo achana.
And so as soon as that is done, we might have to invite my father. But I cannot sit in Accra and invite him. I have to come and alert him in advance that an invitation like that will come.
Na ne dosugu wanchana ma empanya wala kuchana ne otila la habari ne utunyanga yisu ministers maza kabajenela sana mbiani pa uraburi kenanya omongba debuji imamanga ka swai dosugu la lata ma okutontumbia sheku zangno abrin kenan yali no jenena onumboli keja Ankara na ka swai.
President John Dramani Mahama on 14th January 2025 received the Chief of Defense Staff, the Inspector General of Police and other security service chief at a brief ceremony to pledge their loyalty to the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. The President, in a meeting, called on all security services to work closely with him to restore peace and safety for the Ghanaian people. He also used the opportunity to urge them to work independently without any influence from other forces or third parties. President John Dramani Mahama has announced strategic appointments in key national security roles to strengthen the framework of protecting the Ghanaian people. In a statement issued by the acting presidential spokesperson Felix Kwakye Ofosu, announced former Chief of Staff Prosper Douglas Bani as the new National Security Advisor. Mr. Bani, recognized for his extensive experience and expertise in security matters, is expected to play a crucial role in shaping the national security agenda. DCOP Abdul Osman Razak is the National Security Coordinator. His responsibilities will include synchronizing security initiatives across various agencies to ensure a unified approach to national safety. Retired Commissioner of Police Nathan Kofi Boakye has been appointed Director of Operations at the Presidency. Charles Kipu has also been named the Director General of the National Intelligence Bureau, where he will lead intelligence operations critical to national safety. President John Dramani Mahama was on a two-country visit to the Gambia and Senegal to thank the heads of state of the two countries for their participation in his presidential inauguration ceremony on January 7th. The visit was also in furtherance to President Mahama's commitment to strengthening good relations with Ghana's West African neighbors. Also this week at the Presidency, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama on Thursday 16 January 2025 received a special message from the President of Mali, His Excellency Assimi Goïta. Speaking at a closed-door meeting with the Malian Prime Minister Abdoulaye Miagar in Accra, President Mahama reiterated his commitment to Ghana-Mali relations and the need to ensure the security of the West African sub-region from terrorism and insurgency. Before we go, the Office of the President has released some list of appointments made for the positions of various sectors such as ministers, CEOs, and MDs. The following are lists released so far for ministers designate. Honorable Dr. Kesela Tuforsin, Minister Designate for Finance. Honorable John Abdullahi Jinapo, Minister Designate for Energy. Honorable Dominic Ayini, Minister Designate for Justice and Attorney General. Honorable Haruna Idrisu, Minister Designate for Education. Honorable Eric Opoku, Minister Designate for Food and Agriculture. Honorable Kwame Gavins Abuja, Minister Designate for Roads and Highways. Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, Minister Designate for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Honorable Elizabeth Fosu Ajari, Minister Designate for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. Honorable Ablaji Fagomashi, Minister Designate for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. Honorable Dr. Agnes Na Momolati, Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection. Honorable Emilia Arthur, Minister Designate for Fisheries and Aquaculture. George Opari Ado, Minister Designate for Youth, Development and Empowerment. Wisdom Yaira Kukudiku, National Identification Authority. Lawyer Godwin Edward G. Tamaklo, National Petroleum Authority. Honorable Edward Bauer, Ghana National Petroleum Corporation. Professor Nana Amakluche, Environmental Protection Agency. Lawyer Victoria MFA Hardcastle, Petroleum Commission. Afechi Awonu, Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company. Lawyer Sami Jemfi, Precious Minerals Marketing Company. Justina Nelson, Minerals Income Investment Fund. Mohammed Abdul Salam, National Lottery Authority, and Dr. Kweku Asiedu Nketia, Deputy CEO, Minerals Income Investment Fund. This is where we wrap up this week's episode of The Presidency. But before we go, I told you I was going to make a big announcement before I wrap up. So during the week, I received numerous of messages from people and attacks as well. And it might interest you that some of the messages were attacking me to stop the show, actually, to tell me to completely shut it down. But then I already reported the case to the police, and I'm looking forward to measures being taken up to fix the situation. But then up until anything is done, I'm not stopping the show. We keep going and telling the good stories of the President, John Dramani Mahama. Once again, I am Nanaya, and thanks for watching.